Okay, chapter 20, lecture number 2, and here we go. Post-war repression in Great Britain. Lord Liverpool sought to protect the interests of the wealthy, and he did this by doing the Corn Laws, which is several questions in your test bank. Corn is another word for wheat, so if that confuses you at all, they can be kind of used interchangeably. Well, corn and wheat are subsistence. Wheat creates bread. Corn, as we know, has a whole bunch of different properties that is part of our basic diet. Well, what it did is it raised prices on corn, both in excise and income taxes, and it benefited the wealthy, okay, and hurt everyone else. The discontent from and the reason why is because that caused the price of bread to go up. Discontent from the masses, leaders of the low and social orders called for changes. Had unruly mass meeting at Spa Fields near London. Liverpool, in response, passes the Coercion Acts of 1817, which suspended habeas corpus and outlawed seditious gatherings. Well, the main point of this is that when the price of bread goes up, the lower classes are unhappy and they start to protest. Continued repression in Great Britain. The Peterloo Massacre, 11 radical protesters killed by militia at a meeting in Manchester, England. And so the 6 acts are passed. It forbade large unauthorized meetings, which is freedom of assembly is done, raised fine for seditious libel, so that ended freedom of speech, trials speeded up for political agitators, and increased newspaper taxes, freedom of the press, prohibited training of armed groups, it would be our Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, and allowed local officials to search homes, which would be our Fourth Amendment being taken away. So a lot of liberties are taken away. This would be an example of conservatism. The Cato Street conspiracy plot by radicals to blow up cabinet failed. Now we move to France. The Bourbon Restoration. Bourbon is the family. Just like the Habsburgs are a family, the Stuarts, the Tudors in England are a family, it's a family line. Louis XVIII becomes monarch in 1814 and agrees to be a constitutional monarch. So he's conservative, but he gives in to the liberal ideas of a constitution. The charter provided for a hereditary monarchy and a bicameral legislature. So it's half monarchy, half constitution. It guaranteed most of the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen. It provided religious toleration, but Roman Catholicism is still the official language. So you can see these are examples of how it's a balance. Ultra-royalism, as revenge for the revolution, royalists in the south and west of France practically drive the liberals out of politics and into a near illegal status. So there are parts that are either pro-liberal or pro-conservative. And here's a picture of that. The Conservative International Order. The Concert of Europe, where nations from the Congress of Vienna agreed that one nation cannot take major action in international affairs without working with the others. This is called balance of power. The Congress system, the Congress of Vienna, removes troops from France after they had paid their war reparations. Now, just the idea of the Concert of Europe and where this is going to go is that this starts the League of Nations, which ends up becoming the United Nations later. Tsar Alexander I of Russia wants to keep the Quadruple Alliance and uphold existing borders. Castlereagh, representing Britain, feels the alliance was only to stop French aggression. I want you to keep in mind the point of view of these particular characters. Russia, England, France, Austria. So the Spanish Revolution of 1820 is the Spain revolts against its Bourbon monarch, Ferdinand VII. France, with permission from Austria, Prussia, and Russia, but not Britain, under the Congress of Verona, moves in to restore and keep the Bourbon Ferdinand VII in power. So this is a win for the conservatives. France gains land. English Foreign Minister George Canning attempts to stop further European colonization in Latin America by abiding by the Monroe Doctrine. Monroe Doctrine is an American policy. So revolt against Ottoman rule. This is an important one and a couple of questions on your test, and it's also a DBQ. The Greek Revolution of 1821, Greece revolts against Ottoman rule in 1821. Britain, France, and Russia conclude that an independent Greece would benefit their strategic interests. Otto I is declared the first king of the new Greek kingdom. And one of the reasons they do this is because Greek is the source of democracy, and that's why they're going in, is to save democracy. Serbian independence of 1830, granted by the Ottoman Sultan after years of revolts and fighting. Serbia comes under the protection of Russia in the 1820s. Remember this because this is going to come up at the beginning of World War II, this alliance of Serbia and Russia. 1856, under the protection of the great powers, but still has special relationship with Russia. So this is a relationship you want to keep an eye on. And this is Lord Byron, a picture of him in Ottoman attire. Now we have the revolution in Haiti. We were now moving over to the colonies. Toussaint Louverture, his former slaves lead a slave revolt against white Frenchmen and freed mulattoes. Mulattoes being black and white ancestry. France abolishes slavery in Haiti. Then Louverture makes himself governor and general for life and continues ties to France. Napoleon tries to keep Haiti for France. Napoleon is busy at war with Britain, and that allows Haiti to become independent. There's a picture of Toussaint Louverture. You can tell he's from African ancestry. Creole discontent. These are persons of Spanish descent born in South American colonies. Creoles resented the Peninsulares, which were white people who were born in Spain who seemed to get all the political advantages. So I could be of Spanish descent, but I was born in the Americas, which made me a lower class citizen. When Latin American countries won their independence, Creoles received equal rights. So this is an example of a liberal. Two South American independent leaders. These are two important ones. Jose de San Martin led the independence movement in Chile and Peru, later becoming protector of Peru. And Simón Bolívar is an independence leader of Venezuela, later leads a fight and battle of Ayacucho, which ends Spain's control in Latin America. He's also known as the Liberator, or the George Washington of Latin America. And there's a picture of him. New Spain, the area from what is now the southwest United States to Mexico. Battle of philosophies between conservative Spanish and Creole groups and liberal monarchy of Spain. Augustin Iturbide declares Mexico independent from Spain in 1821 and is declared emperor. Brazilian independence is represented by Dom Pedro, who becomes emperor in independent Brazil in 1822. A peaceful revolution makes Brazil independent from Portugal. Political and social elites in Brazil wanted to avoid destructive wars, but slavery is preserved. And there's a map you can see. We'll stop there.